really enjoy watching these lighting breakdowns on YouTube, so I thought, heck, why not try it myself? So yeah, let me know what you guys think, what you would have done better, what you would have done to make the frame look better than what it is. But other than that, let's jump in and see what I did. Okay, so here's the frame we're going to look at. They both are graded in exactly the same way, and you can see here's the first frame without the elements and without the lighting, and then here is the second frame with obviously everything added. I'm just going to focus on this frame here, but if you want to check out the full video, then just hit the link in the description and go support my brother. Okay, let's dive right in. So we wanted to shoot into the aisle of the room, and then we wanted to shoot outside the door, so we had the door frames in the shot to just give that shot a little bit more depth and more layers to the shot. And then we obviously had a massive window, kind of something like this. We wanted to shoot with it in frame, utilize it as best as possible to use it as motivating light. Once we established a good looking frame, then we started to build from there. So first things first, we closed the curtains or the blinds or the windows, whatever you want to call them. I'm using false color the entire time right now, so obviously I'm checking levels and I'm using false color to do that. Okay, so once we closed the blinds, then we added in a practical light in the background on the bedside table. We couldn't manage the temperature of the light. It's the only practical light we had in the house, and I felt like we had to use it to create that sort of depth. Okay, so once we added the practical light, we wanted to kind of build the scene a little bit more and just kind of create a more homier vibe. Ideally, we would have liked to have put up picture frames on the background just to create that checkerboard effect, but I didn't have any picture frames at my disposal, nor did I have those sticky things, so we kind of just rolled with the punches there. So after we added the household elements, we really started to then focus on the subject and how we were going to light the subject. The light is coming from the window, but it doesn't really wrap around Justin's face. So that's the first element that we looked at, and we then set up a key light that shines onto his face. We put the grid on the light just to direct the light that much more, and you can see how the light now naturally wraps around his face as if it was coming from the window. You can kind of see it hits the guitar and spills onto the bed as well, which I didn't really like. So we ended up taking the softbox bag, the travel bag, and just taping it on the actual over the grid and over the light, cutting out the light that was hitting the guitar and spilling onto the bed. We then added some neg on the camera side because the light from the window and the key light was bouncing back from the wall on the other side and was bouncing back into his face. So just to add some more contrast, we added in some neg. So once we set up the key light and we put the neg in, the basis of cinematography, I guess, I looked at the frame and I still wanted to give a sense of depth or layer to the frame. So I ended up just shining a panel light into the door frame and diffusing the light with a blue gel. So it just kind of added that contrast from warm to cool, and it just gave the image that much more depth once again. Okay, lastly, we just added in a little edge light. We used the practical light in the background as motivating light for this edge, and it just kind of hits the back of his neck and the back of his right shoulder, just separating Justin from the background that much more. Okay, so that's how we did it. I'm kind of happy with what it looks like. And if you actually, I just noticed when I was editing, if you flick really quickly between the two frames, I can show you here, you can actually get that sense of depth that I was trying to create. The first image without all the elements, the image is very flat, very 2D. But once we add those layers of light and we built the scene and we created layers within the scene and gave it that sense of depth, you can actually visually see it when you flick through the two frames. There are a few things that would have made this shot look a lot better, and I just thought I would run through them. Number one being haze. I think if we had a little bit of haze in the room, it would have looked a lot softer, would have created a little bit more depth. If I had access to a C-stand, I probably would have lit from the window, from outside the window, shining light through the window, diffused, and then still use that key light inside, but lighting from the window, I could have casted light onto the back wall and just given the image that much more depth. I think a more powerful key light, if you look on the false color, it needed a little bit more to then perfectly expose for the window and the subject's face. And then lastly, I probably would have shot this on like a vintage cinema lens. Would have just created a more interesting image, I think. Anyway guys, I love doing this whole breakdown. I definitely want to do more and I definitely want to try and learn as much as possible and just generally become a better cinematographer. So let me know if you enjoyed it. Otherwise, until the next one, peace for now.